Welcome to MNow's Influenza Prediction Market Competition. This short video will familiarize you with how the site operates, the tools used to enter forecast, how points are earned, and how to compare your forecast against those of other participants. The first step is to click on the Forecast tab at the top of the page, which will bring you to the following screen. The dashboard screen displays the 4 questions that you are invited to predict. For some of these questions, for example, peak week and incidence in the US, I have already entered a forecast. My high-low forecast in each case is plotted in blue and also displayed numerically here. For other questions, I have not yet made a forecast, and that is why you see no current forecast. So I select a question to forecast. On this screen, you will see the questions to forecast, this time each one with its own tab up at the top. We have currently selected the tab for 10% incidence. The question asks us to predict when the percentage of positive tests reported to CDC will first exceed 10% of specimens tested. For each question, I am given relevant historic data here on the right-hand side. To make my forecast, I click on the chart where it says click here to make a forecast. I click on it to define a forecast range. A slider appears with left and right handles. Using the mouse pointer, I can move my forecast up or down and scale it to make it more or less precise. So if I think it will be between December 31st and January 31st, I position my sliders accordingly. You will notice that the height of the white rectangle changes when I narrow or widen my range. The height indicates the number of points I can win based on how much risk I am willing to take. Since there is a greater likelihood that the actual outcome will fall within a wider range, a more precise forecast yields more points. The number of points earned per day that my forecast is in place is shown here on top. As you can see, it changes as I narrow or broaden my forecast range. So the number of points I can win depends on 3 factors. Having the actual outcome fall within my selected range, choosing as narrow a range as possible and I am comfortable with to earn more points, and making my forecast early in the competition so that I can increase the number of days that I will earn points if my forecast turns out to be correct. When I'm ready to validate my forecast, I just have to click on the Submit button. Then I can move to another question by clicking on the desired tab. In this case, let's revisit the questions on the number of on the incidence of flu in the US. Here I have already made a forecast, but I can modify it if I choose. In this case, I am expanding the range since I am a little less confident than I was initially. Notice again that the question is accompanied by reference data here on the right. Again, click Submit to validate my forecast. With any question for which I have already made a forecast, I can look at the aggregate prediction of all participants. This is what is shown on the graph when I click Consensus. The red line will indicate the current consensus forecast across all participants. The pink line, 1 standard deviation around the consensus, and the blue line shows my current forecasts. I can also view how the collective forecast has evolved by clicking on the Trend tab. The red line shows how the collective forecast has evolved over time, and the blue rectangles detail my own forecasting history. In this case, I have made 1 forecast. There's a different blue rectangle for each of my successive forecasts on a specific question. I can click back on the dashboard at any time to view which forecasts I have made and which forecasts I haven't. I can, of course, revisit and update some of my earlier forecasts at any time if I had changed my mind for any reason. Remember that the site is open 24 hours a day to make or change forecasts. Again, you can enter your forecast anytime between now and April 30th. The Leaderboard tab will show rankings once results are known. Note that only anonymous screen names will be displayed, and currently there is no information in the leaderboard. That's it. If you have any questions of a general technical nature, please use the Contact tab to contact us. Enjoy the friendly competition and good luck.